Welcome to the Third House podcast. I'm Erica, your host, and together we'll unravel the astrological and psychological tapestry that shapes our lives. Join me on this exploration towards our deepest potential and authentic selves. I can't wait to connect on our journey of self-discovery, so let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo podcast episode. It is eclipse season, and I'm going to give you all the details I can, at least the amount of details I can give without your natal chart. So please refer to your natal chart when I am discussing the details of this, because this isn't conclusive. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees in Virgo is part of a larger family of eclipses called the SAROS series 123, which I will be getting into. Eclipses are, yes, cyclical. So you can think back roughly 18 years ago when the nodes and the eclipses were taking place in this area of your chart and thus life. You can also look into SAROS series 123, which this particular eclipse is part of. Now, if you're new to astrology, you're new to eclipse cycles, SAROS series, earmuff it. You don't have to listen to it. I will be going through each rising sign and breaking things down to the areas of life, things to look out for, details that might help put this very unpredictable movement in astrology. You know, eclipses notoriously are very unpredictable. Astrologers have been studying them for hundreds, if not thousands of years, trying to look for strategies and consistencies throughout. So I'm going to give you and provide you the areas of life, the other planets that are involved in this that can give you a wider perspective to look out for, in addition to the family that this eclipse is part of. So yes, again, you know, I'm repeating myself here. Eclipses are cyclical. You can think, you know, the nodes, 18-year cycles is when, you know, the nodes return to where they were the last time 18 years ago. But eclipses are interesting because every eclipse was birthed at one point. Now, I believe this eclipse that's part of SAROS series 123, the OG Mama eclipse, the birthed eclipse, was, I believe, in 1502. So you can look into SAROS series, particular eclipses, and go back throughout the years. What are the common denominator? What do all of these eclipses within this family tend to bring up collectively and individually? The last couple of eclipses that took place in this particular series, 123, was March 2007 and I believe February 1989. The link to the full series is in the description below. So you can click on that link and you can see every full moon lunar eclipse that took place in this series. You can click on that eclipse chart. What planets were present? Where were they? How do those placements in that particular eclipse chart, specifically, I would really look at the OG, the Mama OG eclipse in 1502. That is the natal, that is the birth of this family. So it's like the eve of this eclipse. So you can look at that natal chart for that particular eclipse, the OG, the year 1502, and look at the placements. Are there any conjunctions? Look at the synastry between that eclipse Mama OG birth chart with your natal chart. That might provide more details as to the common denominator that this particular SAROS series 123 tends to bring up in your life. So again, if this is so confusing and overwhelming and it's making your head spin, don't worry. There's timestamps. You can skip to your rising sign and come back to, the contextual clues and the meaning and the other, informative stuff around eclipses. So, for example, if I click the link to SAROS Series 123, again, I've provided it in the description below if you're interested, you're going to see the full list of basically the full family that the eclipse on March 14th is part of. So the first eclipse, the Mama OG as I call it, in this series in 1502, I believe had Saturn around 17 degrees Gemini, which for me in my natal chart is conjunct my natal Mars. So Mars rules my 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So for me, this eclipse series might have impacts to maybe my long-term goals in terms of that's where it's happening in the OG chart. But in terms of rulership, it might bring up home, family, property, real estate themes or impacts in my life. Then I fast forward to the last one that I can remember based off of how old I am, which was March 2007. So the one in March of 2007 in this particular series had its Mars conjunct my natal north node. So when I overlap it with my natal chart, the Mars, I think it was around 4 degrees Aquarius, was conjunct my natal north node in Aquarius. So again, Mars ruling my 4th house of home, family, property, real estate, as well as my 9th house of growth and potential area of life. In 2007, that was when I decided on the college or university that I was going to choose and going to. And that required me to consider a relocation, a move. How was that going to impact my time with my family, getting back and forth, sort of the logistics around that? So again, that's another indicator. I, without a doubt, need more data points in my life. I need to live a lot longer and experience this SAROS Series 123 a little bit more. But so far, it tends to bring up relocation, home, family dynamics playing out. So that is something that you can sort of consider. Again, you can pull up the list, depending on how old you are, how far you can go back, sort of gain more of those data points. Like what is the common denominator, or what seems to be the common denominator, excuse me. And also consider what was going on roughly 18 years ago. Again, if you're old enough, particularly in the area of your chart ruled by Pisces and Virgo. Now, there's other planets playing a part in this, which I'm going to break down for all of you out of convenience and time. But again, generally speaking, the full moon lunar eclipses signal a completion, a closing, or culminating situation. So for me, it tended to sort of culminate and close out and create new chapters involving home, family dynamics, where I lived, relocation, those kinds of things. And if I'm being completely honest here, those themes are heavily playing out as I record this already. So some of you in February might really start to feel the effects or start to sort of see the sprinkles or the trickling in of like, oh, okay, this is sort of the area of life that I need to maybe pay attention to. That this eclipse might create sort of people, places, or things playing out that are really illuminated, closing out that chapter. Now, if you are curious, again, you can skip right through this and go right to your rising sign. You're like, this is making my head spin. But again, I tried to create content for all people at all levels of their astrological journey. So if you do click on the link, you'll notice that in this particular eclipse series, now I'm not talking about all eclipses in Virgo, it's this family, 123. You'll notice that the eclipse on March 14th, 2025 is the last eclipse in Virgo in this particular SAROS series 123. This has me a little bit curious as to, at this juncture in the series of eclipses within this family, are we sort of really closing out cycles, themes, life themes in the area of our chart ruled by Virgo and maybe even Pisces too, that maybe started in 1989, or for some of us started in 2007, depending on how old we are. So there is an element, this may or may not resonate, it's more out of curiosity for me, that might resonate with you. What, especially with the nodal movement, right, that's involved with these eclipses, sort of what cycles, there's a lot of cycles that are sort of closing out and creating new chapters around this time. But in particular, like looking at this series 123, it's like, okay, this will be the last eclipse in this series that takes place in Virgo. What do we want to finish out? What do we want to close out? Especially because it's a lunar. This is culminating. This is closing. This is clearing. So there is sort of an additional element, in my opinion, that could be playing into something closing out, or maybe a lot of us are going to be stepping into a new chapter where we choose something different. Again, I'll get into more details in the rising signs. So very, very interesting how the SAROS series is playing out. But again, just remember to look back roughly 18 years ago when the eclipses were around this point in your chart. What's come full circle? What is now changing, culminating, closing out? That maybe you can choose a new chapter, choose something entirely different. And so, yeah, what I'm going to be going over through each rising sign, if you're the type of listener that likes to take down notes or feel prepared, or you want to pull up your birth chart, I'm just going to briefly list out what I'm going to go over so that you can sort of mentally prepare yourselves before you go into your rising sign. So what I'm going to go or touch on through each rising sign, I'm going to obviously start with the houses it's impacting. and the general areas of life to look out for. I think this is really important, especially with the level of unpredictability with eclipses and how it can happen, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. So just having, okay, these are the areas of life I should emphasize or pay attention to in your back pocket, so that when things do start to kind of come out, you're like, oh, okay, now I've got the playing field, got the lay of the land. And I'll go into more details about that. Then I'm going to talk about Saturn's conjunction to the sun. Now, this is a full moon lunar eclipse. So if you're looking at your birth chart, full moons are the sun and the moon in opposition. So yes, this full moon lunar eclipse is in Virgo, but I think it's really important to emphasize the opposing house, right? The sun and the moon are in opposition. So that sun is very important in the story that's playing out. So Saturn's conjunction to the sun and how Saturn might be sort of imprinting or playing a part in this eclipse, maybe giving us a little bit more detail for predictive technique. Then I'm going to go into Mercury going retrograde the day after the eclipse goes exact. Now, this is important because Mercury rules this eclipse. So the fact that it's going retrograde is sort of like, okay, what is transpiring, shifting, culminating, that's now pushing us into a phase of introspection, reviewing, revising. And then I'm going to talk about the Venus retrograde in Aries. This one is a little subtle, but I think it's hiding in the background because we have a whole other Venus cycle closing out around this time. But the reason why I want to talk about the Venus retrograde in regards to this eclipse is because Venus rules the area that Uranus will be trine this eclipse. So Uranus, this eclipse will trine Uranus in a Venus-ruled area while Venus is retrograde and in detriment. So I know it's a big scary word for a lot of you. Detriment isn't always a bad thing. It just means Venus is a little different right now. She's in Aries. She wants what she wants and she wants it now. And that's okay. We might need that Venusian energy right now. So I really want to maybe put that Venus retrograde into perspective and how Uranus could be maybe innovating, shifting, or changing the area of Taurus in our chart and thus our lives, and how this full moon might consequently be sort of culminating or closing something out that is indicating the flow of development where obstacles are typically not present or removed with trine configurations. Anyways, let's get into the juicy bits and let's get into the eclipse. Hello, Aries risings. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo at 23 degrees is landing in your 6th house of daily work, health, and routines. Now, you can think back, if you're old enough, to 2007. What was going on roughly around 2007 that impacted your health, your daily work, your routines, that now maybe there's similar themes, or now you're culminating something that maybe got initiated around that time. Either way, this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo is really highlighting the 6th and 12th house axis. So yes, it is culminating, illuminating, maybe even closing out chapters regarding work, health, and routines, but it is also highlighting your 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, life vision, and sort of your need for solitude, rest, and recharge. So I like to call this axis the mind-body axis. Where can you see where you need to balance the mind and the body to focus on work, health, your life vision, or just the need to sort of retreat, rest, and recharge? Very generally speaking, okay? Now, the good news with this full moon lunar eclipse is that the moon will briefly have triplicity. So it looks like it has a little bit of help. It has a little bit of support and resources. So definitely look at what could be culminating or changing regarding subconscious thought patterns and how that affects your health and how you show up with work, or what's going on with health and work that is affecting your subconscious thought patterns. Either way, this is a good time to sort of focus on what do you need to create more vitality in your life, and that might require a mental shift or the need for more time alone to rest and recharge. Now, the moon rules your 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So whatever's going on, work, health, behind the scenes related, it could have some impact to your home environment, property, real estate for some of you. Now, Saturn will be conjunct the sun in your 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, sort of behind the scenes, solitude, meditation, sleep, dreams. It's something I would pay attention to. But what's interesting is that Saturn rules your 10th house of career and public recognition, as well as your 11th house of dreams, long-term goals, and social network. So there could be something going on behind the scenes regarding work or health that's also playing out with sort of your long-term goals or a career situation. Mercury going retrograde the following day on the 15th in your Aries 1st house of self, physical body, identity, and appearance is interesting because Mercury rules the area that this full moon lunar eclipse is happening. So what's interesting is that the eclipse is highlighting the area of health and work. And the ruler of the eclipse, Mercury, is gearing up to go into a revisionary period in the area of the physical body. So I think a lot of Aries risings might have a sudden shift mentally and or physically related to health, work, long-term goals. And it might push some of you into a revisionary period around your physical body, your appearance, your identity, and how you envision yourself stepping into the world. In addition to that 1st house, Venus is retrograde in your Aries 1st house at the time of this eclipse. So again, highlighting the physical body, appearance, identity, but Venus rules the Libra 7th house of professional and personal partnership, as well as your 2nd house of earned income. So whatever's transpiring, changing work, health, career, long-term goals, there could be sort of this coming back to your close partnerships that support you in the situation that transpires. So there could be an element of, a sudden shift, something culminating, but you're really sort of looking back on the people that support you, support your best self, and support your self-worth, pertaining to a health situation or your ability to go after your dreams, your goals, or deal with a career situation. What's interesting is you could be looking at finances as well within this partnership, either to support the health or business work story that's playing out for some of you. But in the area of finance, self-worth, Uranus will be in a trine configuration to this full moon lunar eclipse in your 6th house of daily work, health, and routine. So this moon will actually start to form or apply to a trine configuration, where trines can sometimes indicate that like the flow of development where obstacles usually would be are not there. Like the obstacles are either not there or sort of removed or dissolved. So trine configurations sort of really help move things along for better or worse. But what's interesting about this full moon lunar eclipse with it in this trine configuration to Uranus, it seems like a lot of Aries risings are reviewing the area of finances, gifts, talents, self-worth with whatever's transpiring health and work-wise. But with that Venus retrograde ruling that area that Uranus is in and trine this eclipse, it sort of indicates whatever you're reviewing and revising, something could be shifting around the health, the work, and the routines that's maybe helping you dissolve the obstacles to be able to make more money, to step into your gifts, your talents, your value, self-worth. And so although, eclipse season and everything that's going on right now, eclipses can be very unpredictable, but I think the configurations and the rulerships and sort of the dispositors, so to speak, of the main players that I'm looking at definitely indicates like this could be a really fruitful time to focus on your health, your work, your career, your business, but in a way where you can really review and revise how your health is in your wealth. Your vitality allows you to, increase more of your work, your business, your money, your gifts, your talents. Like how can you, by increasing your vitality, it's sort of like you're investing in yourself. And I think this full moon, whatever transpires, it's like, I think, how can you really invest in you and your gifts and your talents and your self-worth that could be really setting you up for success to amplify the career, the business, and the public recognition. Hello, Taurus risings. Now, the houses involved with this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo is, this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo is happening in your 5th house of joy. This is, the house where children, romance, creativity, self-expression sort of really come to life. But the 5th house, I like to think of the 5th house as really like your heart's desire. And so, the 5th house, it's whatever's pertaining to you. If you're a creative, if you're an artist, I would definitely pay attention to your creative pursuits, your self-expression. If you're a parent, the 5th house is children. So this could be a situation sort of culminating or illuminating your relationship with children, having children, etc. If you're dating, whether you're dating or in a relationship, the 5th house could really be a place of romance. So either way, whatever is joyful or ignites sort of this heart's desire within you, this is where that eclipse is happening. And it is also involving the opposite house, in my opinion, which is the 11th house, your dreams, your aspirations, your long-term goals, and your social network, including friends, groups, communities. So the good news for Taurus rising is it's illuminating fun houses. The 11th house is like, the clubhouse, and the 5th house is the game room. So we're talking about typically, generally speaking, again, it depends on your personal placements, but pretty fun, more positive, generally speaking, houses. So definitely look for your friends, your groups, your communities, your long-term goals, as well as where you intimately create space for the things that you enjoy in life. So Again, the 11th house being the clubhouse, or like, what are your dreams, your goals, bigger picture conversations that you're having with people or yourself, versus the 5th house. Where are you carving out that more intimate space, either with children, romantic partner, creative projects, how you're, stepping into or forming your self expression. And so these are the areas of life that I would start to pay attention to. Things might play out with your children, your friends, your social network, or shift around your long term goals. Your perspective on what is now joyful for you could be changing. Now, the moon does have triplicity around the time of the eclipse or when it goes exact. So that could indicate that there is a little bit more support with this eclipse. But again, eclipses are very unpredictable. The moon does rule your 3rd house. The 3rd house, communication, technology, transportation, exchanging information, siblings, extended family. I like to think of the 3rd house as your familiar environment, your backyard, as Bernadette Brady puts it. And I think that that's a really great way of explaining it. So potential outcomes or shifts to whatever transpires could impact sort of your familiar environment. Maybe there's changes to your long-term goals, your social network, what you enjoy, and that changes how you interact with your familiar environment. Maybe it changes your daily commute. Maybe it changes the way you exchange or communicate information. Saturn conjunct the sun around the time of the eclipse is happening in that Pisces 11th house. Again, friends, groups, communities, long-term goals, dreams, aspirations. So Saturn rules your 9th house and your 10th house. Now, if your midheaven is in either one of those, I think this could have a heavy dose of career and public recognition written all over it. So it could be growth, potential, publishing, writing, teaching, traveling, or just general themes of career, business, and public recognition for a lot of you. Either way, this could sort of play a part in, maybe there is something playing out with career or the work that you do or the growth and potential you're seeking, and it's changing your social network. It's changing how you relate to your social network. It's sort of reflecting back, okay, what are your long-term goals and dreams and aspirations? And how does that consequently shift your creative pursuits, how you express yourself in the world, and most importantly, what is now joyful to you with what is shifting and changing. So Mercury going retrograde the following day on March 15th in your 12th house is particularly interesting to me because the 12th house is hidden. It is the subconscious thought patterns. It is sort of, it can even be the place of like intuition. It's like the things that we don't really publicly advertise, dreams, sleep, rest, recharge. But Mercury rules this eclipse in your 5th house of joy, children, creativity, self-expression. It also rules your Gemini 2nd house of earned income and self-worth. So whatever shifts or culminates around, what I discussed so far pertaining to this eclipse, it could have a direct impact where you are maybe seeking more rest or solitude to review and revise. Okay, what is the financial situation? What are my gifts and talents? What does bring me joy based off of what is changing around this time? And how is it shifting your subconscious thought patterns, your life vision, your dreams? So very, very interesting how it's happening in what's known as very general fun houses, but it looks like whatever's transpiring is having a direct impact for a lot of you on career and long-term goals, and then putting you into this potential revisionary process around, whoa, what is my life vision? What is the next step? And how do finances, gifts, talents play into that? Venus going retrograde in that Aries 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, rest, recharge, again, the hidden house, is your ruling planet. It rules your physical body, your identity, how you show up in the world. So there could be an element of not only are you reviewing and revising sort of what's going on mentally, some of you but just might be thinking about like, how did I get to this juncture in my life? And what is mentally changing for me? How is it shifting your whole perspective around money and career and creativity and joy? And how does that directly impact your identity? You know, your appearance, how you want to show up in the world. But more specifically, that Venus retrograde in that 12th house of mental thought patterns, subconscious thought patterns, life vision, rules over the area that Uranus is in, your first house of self, which is trine this eclipse in your fifth. So I know that's a huge mouthful for some of you. But this full moon eclipse that's illuminating and sort of kicking off this story that's playing out around creative projects, self-expression, joy, romance, children even, if that's applicable to you, is applying to a trine configuration to your Uranus in your first house that you're reviewing and revising. So it's sort of like trines often don't have the obstacles or dissolve the obstacles. And for you, it's between your physical body and your creativity, self-expression, joy, children. So it's sort of like there's this natural flow where maybe the obstacles are removed between how you want to show up in the world, your appearance, your identity versus your creativity, your self-expression, your ability to enjoy life. But at the same time, you're also reviewing and revising those areas that could be drastically shifting around this time. So either way, I think for Taurus risings, this could have an influence or an element of definitely shifts and changes around that are affecting you, maybe playing a part with finances, your career, your long-term goals. But there's a deeper influence going on in the background where there's like a mental processing. Maybe you need to rest and recharge. You're sort of mentally processing the shift or the changes maybe to career, your long-term goals, finances, creativity, self-expression, maybe children if that's applicable to you. But I think there could be this really wonderful opportunity as you're reviewing and revising to take advantage of that brief trine configuration where that full moon lunar eclipse is going to culminate something around creativity, self-expression, romance, and children. And it's going to hopefully remove or dissolve any obstacles to help you step into that identity, appearance, how you want to show up in the world, what you want to be known for, and that you're actively shifting your mental thought patterns in order to accommodate. So sort of shifting the the intangible thought patterns. Maybe some of you are waking up and being like, how did I get here? Or how did my career unfold to this point? How did my growth and potential unfold to this point? But either way, I think it could be a really great opportunity to sort of maybe rewrite a script, step into a new you, a new identity, particularly around, not only mentally, but also around career, public recognition, your social network, creativity, and self-expression. Hello, Gemini risings. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees is landing in your Virgo 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So definitely highlighting, amplifying potential themes involving home, family, property, and real estate. And this could be a relocation, a renovation, the decision to maybe do one of those things. It could involve the people that you live with. It could involve the family relationships, dynamics, those kinds of things. Now, because it's a full moon, like I said in the intro, full moons in the birth chart, it's the sun and the moon in opposition. So this is also potentially highlighting career, business, and public recognition themes as well. So this is angular for you Gemini risings. So that sometimes can statistically amplify the odds of it being very external, more visible areas of your life. Because it's angular, this eclipse could also sort of make changes or create action involving personal and professional partnerships, as well as your identity and how you show up in the world. So lots going on for Gemini risings with the nodes and the eclipses happening here. Now, if you're listening to this, early, I'm going to post this as early as I possibly can, but some of you could already be feeling the effects of this. Again, all of March is really up for grabs in terms of things unfolding with this eclipse that is really highlighting your career, home, and family axis in your chart and thus your life. Now, Saturn conjunct the sun in your Pisces 10th house is interesting because Saturn rules your 8th house of transformation and other people's resources, as well as your Aquarius 9th house of growth and potential. So some details or more intricate themes to look out for would be investments, taxes, stocks, loans, your partner's resources, if that's applicable, any transformational work, publishing, writing, teaching, travel, spirituality, and knowledge, higher knowledge, continuing education. So there's a lot on the table in addition to these eclipses in angular houses. So I think a lot of Gemini risings, if you've been feeling the lull, if you've been feeling Saturn's slowdown, this eclipse might help move things along. So whatever is being highlighted potentially around home and family and career, there could also be connections to how that's playing a part in your growth and potential, how that's playing a part in your long-term money goals, finances, partners' resources, or your ability to tap into other people's resources. Now, Mercury going retrograde the day after the eclipse takes place on March 14th. So Mercury will go retrograde on March 15th. This is important, specifically For Gemini risings, because Mercury is your ruling planet, it literally rules you, your physical body in the chart, but it also rules the eclipse taking place in your Virgo fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So, whatever transpires in terms of home, family, property, real estate, or career, or both, that's playing a part in how you look at a financial situation, a transformational situation, growth and potential. It could indicate that whatever's playing out could sort of send you into a revisionary process around your identity, your appearance, how you want to show up in the world, and how maybe some of you can recreate a living situation, whether it's just, changing family relationships, redecorating, renovating, or literally a relocation, is going to set you up for success. So a lot of Gemini risings, you could be looking at, how can you set yourselves up for success personally out in the world? But also, I think whatever transpires or comes up, opportunities, changes, shifts, culminations, it could really send you into looking at, okay, what is my living situation and how can I create a stronger foundation that fully supports who I want to become, the growth and potential I seek, the long-term financial goals, transformational goals, career, business goals. So lot of influence, a lot of potential for Gemini risings here. Additionally, Venus will be retrograde in your Aries 11th house. So this could indicate that there is an additional something playing out in the background that's having you sort of review and revise your social network, who you surround yourselves with, and those long-term goals. But more specifically, who can you align yourselves with, and what long-term goals can you align yourselves with that mentally feel good for you, that bring you more joy, more creativity, more self-expression, even more romance or time with your children, if that's applicable to you. So whatever's transpiring, I think there could be an influence of opportunity to maybe shift your goals, who you surround yourself with, and maybe hopefully incorporate a little bit more joy and mental rest and recharge into your lives. Hopefully. What's really interesting though is that this full moon lunar eclipse is taking place, really illuminating, culminating that home and family career axis in your chart. That full moon lunar eclipse is going to start to apply to a trine with Uranus in your 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, dreams, life vision. So this is interesting because where Venus has you reviewing and revising maybe who you surround yourselves with, those long-term goals, dreams, aspirations, the full moon eclipse that is culminating, shifting, or changing something, or creating the necessary change to start that something with career and or home and family, it looks like it might be removing the obstacles and hopefully creating more flow and development to the innovation and change around your thought patterns, around the life vision, the dreams you have for yourselves that maybe for a lot of Gemini risings, you've been working on behind the scenes. Like it's been hidden for quite some time. This might be an influence that starts to shift things to where the intangible, more hidden parts now can start to become a more tangible reality for you. So I'm hoping with the configurations, the dispositors, what rules what, that whatever shifts and changes, decisions to hopefully create a better living situation for yourselves, to set yourselves up for success regarding maybe a career opportunity, where you can really review and revise your long-term goals, who you surround yourselves with to create more joy, more self-expression, the appearance and identity that you really want to step into and shine in the world. But it can also, this full moon lunar eclipse, help really take those intangible dreams, life vision, the things that maybe you've been hoping and dreaming and innovating and changing subconsciously, mentally, can start to become that tangible reality with these eclipses taking place on the 4th and 10th house axis. Hello, Cancer risings. This full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees is taking place in your Virgo 3rd house. Now, the 3rd house is communication, transportation, technology, exchanging information, but it's also your familiar environment. So, mundane task, your immediate environment, people within that immediate environment, which may be siblings, extended family, neighbors, those kinds of things. This full moon lunar eclipse is really culminating something pertaining to technology, communications, particularly if you work with communication, technology, social media, anything where you're exchanging information in a familiar way. It could definitely be highlighted. Now, this could be something much more day to day, like your car, your phone, your laptop, those kinds of things. Now, this is a full moon on steroids, so to speak. So, something within your familiar environment or your communication, your technology, or relationship to people within your immediate environment could be sort of highlighted. Something within it could be coming to a close. Maybe, a project within communication field or exchanging information is sort of culminating or sort of finishing or closing out. Either way, this is also heavily highlighting your Pisces 9th house. 9th house of growth and potential. So traveling, publishing, higher knowledge, continuing education, spirituality, also teaching are more specific themes to growth and potential, or really anything you're seeking for growth and potential. So it's sort of like what's going on in your familiar environment versus the bigger picture. But if I will specify, if you have your midheaven in Pisces and consequently your IC in your Virgo 3rd house, this could have very strong themes involving your career, your business, your public recognition, and your home, family, living environment. So just keep that in mind as well. So definitely, in terms of houses and areas that could really be highlighted, definitely pay attention to those themes that I just discussed. Now, breaking it down a little bit more, the moon rules it's your ruling planet, or luminary. It rules your 1st house of the physical body, identity, appearance, how you want to show up in the world. So whatever's going on with communication, exchanging information, short distance travel, technology, relationships to people within your familiar environment versus that bigger picture, travel, growth, potential, writing, teaching, higher knowledge, spirituality, could have a major shift to how you show up in the world, your identity. Some of you could be sort of shifting how you relate with the world or how the world relates with you. Saturn conjunct the sun in your Pisces ninth house of that growth and potential, or if your midheaven is here, also could heavily weigh in career, business, and public recognition themes as well. Saturn rules your seventh house of personal and professional partnerships, as well as your eighth house of transformation and other people's resources. So there could be an element of partnerships, resources, and transformational work that could play a part in whatever is shifting or changing around growth and potential, some of you career, in addition to, within your familiar environment, right? The communication, the exchanging information. So maybe some of you are tapping into personal or professional partnerships, looking into gaining additional resources, looking into finances, as well as anything, transformational as well that could be playing into growth and potential opportunities. Mercury going retrograde the day after the eclipse goes exact. So Mercury going retrograde on the 15th, the following day, in your Aries 10th house of career and public recognition is sort of amplifying, in my opinion, more of the career, business, and public recognition themes. So whatever shifts and changes with this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, Mercury being retrograde in the area of career, also ruling this eclipse in Virgo, it rules your Virgo third house, could be playing into sort of reviewing and revising based off the shift, the change, the culmination. Yes, involving career, business, and public recognition, but also sort of mental thought patterns, life vision, dreams, and sort of how you communicate or interact with your familiar environment as well as home and family. So there could be, I know that's a lot of what I said is could be a bit mixed there. But basically, if I really want to boil it down, it looks like there's a strong influence that, yes, is shifting things around, maybe career, growth and potential, and also maybe a living situation, home, family, familiar environment, communication, exchanging information, and those types of fields. But whatever shifting and culminating around that is maybe having you sort of review and revise your thoughts, your visions, your dreams involving your career, your business, and your public recognition. Venus, also retrograde at the time of this eclipse in your 10th house of career, business, public recognition, is another strong indicator to me that you are reviewing and revising the career, the business, the public recognition, or opportunities involving those themes based off of the shift, the change, the closing out, the culminating moment. But Venus being retrograde here is another indicator of that. But more specifically, maybe who you surround yourselves with, and also shifting those long-term goals. So maybe some of you have made a decision, or there's a shift and a change, and now you're changing your thought patterns. You're stepping into new ideas of dreams or inspirations or visions. And now, who do you need to surround yourselves with? How do you need to expand your social network to align yourselves to maybe these new goals or shifts, or just balancing everything that's going on pertaining to these areas? Venus also rules your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So that's another indicator to me that there could be a lot of shifts and changes to, opportunities or situations playing out with home, family, as well as career, business, and public recognition. But I think for Cancer risings compared to Gemini risings, This one has a little bit more of, well, how do I expand my social network? And what new goals do I need to set? How can I continue expanding the growth and potential in a particular direction to support that? In addition to sort of what's going on mentally behind closed doors that might need to shift or be revised in order to, assist the process mentally. We have to mentally prepare ourselves and also physically prepare ourselves. Now, the full moon lunar eclipse in that Virgo third house will actually be applying to a trine to Uranus in your Taurus 11th house. So this one's interesting because it seems like whatever transpires, there is an additional influence and configuration going on that, to me, shows that there could be something playing out with the eclipse, everything I just discussed. But trines sort of don't have as many obstacles, or they can even dissolve the obstacles. Now, the trine between your third house of communication, exchanging information, again, your familiar environment, short distance travel, involving your 11th house of friends, groups, communities, and long-term goals. Whatever transpires, it looks like there can be even a brief opportunity to sort of remove the obstacles, hopefully, to innovate and change your friends, groups, communities, and long-term goals. So I think whatever's culminating and shifting, and I think a lot of Cancer risings are going to maybe start looking at growth and potential, career, business, public recognition, opportunities, or, and how to sort of like mentally shift yourselves to support that. There definitely looks like there is an opportunity to shift all of those things, but also change, innovate, who you surround yourselves with, expanding your social network, expanding sort of the dreams, the aspirations, and the long-term goals as well. So very, very interesting. I think at first you look at this full moon eclipse for Cancer risings and you're like, oh, it's in the third house, communication, daily environment. But when you really start breaking it down and you see what this full moon is interacting with, and, Venus retrograde, Mercury going retrograde in that 10th house, it looks like there's actually a lot of indicators of career, business, public recognition, while something is shifting, culminating, closing out. And some Cancer risings, I think you could be stepping into a new chapter of new goals, new friends, new groups, new communities that has you maybe changing the way you show up in the world, in addition to maybe a little bit of opportunity or influence to work on sort of the foundation of your life. What living situation, family relationships, dynamics, people you live with potentially, that can also set you up for success in stepping into what looks like a new chapter for many of you around business, career, public recognition, where you can really set bigger goals around growth, potential, social network, and dreams and aspirations. Hello, Leo risings. This full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees lands in your Virgo second house of earned income, your innate gifts, talents, what is yours, and additionally, your self-worth. Now, This full moon lunar eclipse in your Virgo second house, it's really highlighting the second eighth house axis, which is also incorporating those eighth house themes, those long-term financial goals, other people's resources, transformational work. So this could really highlight transformational work, your innate gifts and talents, stepping into your self-worth, but could also really highlight financial themes in addition to other people's resources. So partnership resources, other people's resources that, maybe play a part in your personal life. So definitely financial this is a strong financial axis, but also pay attention to sort of like what is yours, your innate gifts, talents, self-worth, and transformational work that might be playing a part in that if that's applicable to you. So the moon, since we're talking about a full moon, the moon rules your Cancer 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, dreams, life vision. Really, this is more of a hidden house. This isn't the house that we necessarily want to advertise to the world. Now, a lot of Leo risings have been hit pretty hard with the Mars retrograde through this 12th house. So I think this full moon could actually be an opportunistic period to sort of, highlight, culminate, close out maybe financial themes, financial goals, paying off debt, other people's resources, transformational work, stepping into your value. But the outcome could potentially play a part in shifting your thought patterns, shifting your life vision. Maybe a lot of you have been sent on a journey of seeing your thoughts, seeing the conditioning, seeing how you process things. And at this juncture, you could be really setting sort of a new chapter involving that area that could play a part in the outcome to what transpires and shifts with this eclipse. More specifically, Saturn will be technically conjunct the sun, which is playing a part in this eclipse, obviously. The sun and the moon will be in opposition. So Saturn conjunct the sun in your Pisces 8th house is very interesting because Saturn rules your 6th house of daily work, health, routine, and Saturn also rules your 7th house of personal and professional partnerships. So whatever is transpiring, it could heavily include a partner, whether it's personal or professional. It could also include a partner's resources if that's applicable to you. Something could be heavily playing out within a personal or professional partnership that might be playing a part in those subconscious thought patterns, could be playing a part with your finances, your transformational work, or your self-worth. Mercury going retrograde the day after this eclipse goes exact. So Mercury will go retrograde on the 15th. Is interesting because Mercury rules this full moon eclipse taking place in your 2nd house of earned income and self-worth. Mercury will be stationing retrograde in your Aries 9th house, the area I like to call growth and potential. So whatever transpires transformationally, self-worth, financial, resources, it could send you on a revisionary journey around the growth and potential you really seek, where you want to go. Maybe something's playing out with work, health, or a partnership that could be affecting how you anchor yourself in self-worth, could be affecting your transformational work or your finances. It's now shifting you into this revisionary period around the growth and potential you are seeking that could change who you surround yourselves with, your long-term goals, and consequently also your finances. So Venus retrograde, also in the area of your Aries 9th house of growth and potential, could also heavily involve the career and the public recognition. So for some Leo risings, yes, it could involve personal and professional partnerships, but this is another indicator to me that whatever's transpiring and shifting with the eclipse, it's also putting your career, your public recognition in this revisionary period pertaining to the growth and potential. Maybe something shifts in a professional partnership or your work. Maybe an opportunity opens up that will allow you to change your finances. Or maybe something shifts or changes where you're reviewing your growth and potential and how that is going to fully support your career, your business, and your public recognition. Either way, Venus rules that 10th house of career and public recognition, as well as your Libra 3rd house of communication. Now, if you have your midheaven in your Aries 9th and your IC in your Libra 3rd, this is another layer that could, or another detail that could amplify the odds of career, home, and family sort of playing a part in this eclipse. The Venus retrograde in your Aries 9th house of growth potential. So travel, higher knowledge, spirituality, publishing, teaching, anything you seek for growth and potential, that I think for a lot of Leo risings is also playing a part in this shift or change to career, long-term goals, social network. It's interesting because it rules the area that this full moon eclipse will be trine to Uranus. So Uranus is in a Venus ruled area. It's in your Taurus 10th house of career and public recognition. And this full moon lunar eclipse in your Virgo 2nd house of earned income and self-worth will actually be trine. It'll be applying to a trine configuration to Uranus in that 10th house of career. So this is an indicator to me. There could be a strong shift or change financially, transformation, self-worth that could be playing a part in personal or professional partnerships, your health, your routines, your goals, and who you surround yourselves with, that could ultimately lead up to the clearing of obstacles or dissolving of obstacles that can help sort of culminate maybe your goals, your gifts, your talents, financial situations, your self-worth, that could radically sort of, again, like the trine, it sort of helps dissolve the obstacles that are in the way. So it could sort of really fuel the innovation, the change to career, business, and public recognition. So whatever's transpiring, again, with work, health, personal and professional partnerships, that's playing into financial situations and resources, or transformational work and self-worth, it could be the thing that helps, or I hope it's the thing that helps clear and dissolve the obstacles to radically shifting and innovating your career, your business, and your public recognition. Hello, Virgo risings. This full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees is landing in your Virgo 1st house of the physical body, appearance, identity, really how you show up in the world, how other people view you. So this is a mega spotlight on you, at least in your chart, but it is really highlighting the 1st and 7th house axis. So definitely your 1st house of self, but it is also incorporating the 7th house of the other. So personal and professional partnerships, including marriage. Now this is angular. So this full moon eclipse has the potential to create action and change to career, public recognition, as well as home and family for some of you. But it is a mega, highlight of the first and seventh house axis, which is your needs versus the needs of other, you versus your partnerships. Now, Saturn's conjunction to the sun in your Pisces seventh house of personal and professional partnerships is interesting because Saturn rules your fifth house of joy, creativity, romance, self-expression, and children, if applicable to you, as well as your Aquarius sixth house of daily work, health, and routines. So for some of you, there could be a heavy dose of the work and the career playing out. But I think with Saturn in the house of partnership and also Saturn ruling the fifth house of children and romance, there is another dose of partnership and dating and romance. Well, whether you're single or partnered up, this looks like a strong indicator of partnership or the desire for partnership, or the desire, children playing a part within the partnership, if that's applicable to you. So with Saturn conjunct the sun, Saturn's been going through your Pisces seventh house of personal and professional partnerships. So Saturn going through the seventh could definitely indicate, a strong dose of responsibility and discipline around your partnerships or involving your partnerships, or becoming more disciplined and structured towards the partnerships that you do want. Saturn likes commitment. So Saturn going through the seventh house could definitely be a time of sort of make or break around personal and professional partnerships. But with it ruling your Aquarius sixth house and Capricorn fifth house, it definitely is tying in themes of children, romance, work, health, and how maybe those can be incorporated within your partnerships or incorporated in the partnerships you desire or need, right? We're talking about the first and seventh house axis. So, your needs versus the needs of others. Mercury going retrograde the day after the eclipse goes exact on March 15th. So eclipse is on the 14th. Mercury goes retrograde on the 15th in your Aries 8th house of transformation and other people's resources, including partnership. Again, Virgo risings, lots of partnership themes coming around with this eclipse. But Mercury rules this eclipse in your first house. So it also rules you, your physical body, how you show up in the world. With it going retrograde in that 8th house of transformation, this is also a financial house, other people's resources, including a partner's resources, if applicable, could indicate that whatever shifting with this eclipse around you and or partnership themes, it could send you on a revisionary period around your transformational work, fears, and or financial resources that could be playing a part in the situation. Additionally, Venus retrograde in this Aries 8th house of transformation, financial house, other people's resources, including the partner, is also playing a part in sort of, okay, what's going on with transformational work, your fears, financial resources, partners' resources if applicable. But with Venus kind of mixing into the situation, Venus rules your second house of earned income. It also rules your Taurus 9th house of growth and potential. So some of you might be looking at, a partnership situation, but maybe that's also having you look at maybe transformational work that you've been doing, looking at maybe your fears, or you could be looking at the more financial aspect of the rulership of these houses and how that plays a part in your growth and potential. So another, off the top of my head, this could indicate, what personal or professional partnerships do you have that may send you on a revisionary period around your finances and your resources to go after some growth and potential in your life. Travel, spirituality, continuing education, writing, teaching, any of those things that could also be playing a part. And some Virgo risings might be looking into sort of up-leveling the career, the public recognition as well. So very, very interesting how I think there's strong financial themes playing into this, strong financial themes and resources playing into you and personal and professional partnerships, or certain things playing out with you and personal and professional partnerships, or the desire for those partnerships that could be playing a part in maybe transformational work, your fears, your self-worth, your growth and potential. Taking it a little bit deeper, Venus being retrograde and ruling the area that Uranus is in, which is your 9th house of that growth and potential. Again, knowledge, spirituality, travel, publishing, teaching, those kinds of things, or anything you're seeking for growth and potential. Venus rules over that area where Uranus is in, and also forming a trine configuration to this eclipse in your 1st house of self. So this eclipse is starting to, at this juncture, starting to apply to a trine, a brief trine with Uranus in your Taurus 9th house of growth and potential, which tells me whatever shifts, changes, what's going on with you, what's going on within, or the desire for personal and professional partnerships that might be tying into finances, resources, transformational work, self-worth, that, whatever shifts and changes or comes up, how are you looking at what's culminating around yourselves, how you want to show up in the world, and where can you, again, trine configuration, things naturally flow, obstacles tend to dissolve with trines. Where can you, with whatever transpires or comes up around this time, look for the dissolution of obstacles to the growth and potential you're seeking in your lives, that maybe partnership, transformational work, finances, and resources could come together, shift, or change to hopefully dissolve those obstacles around you stepping into who you really want to be, how you want to be seen in the world, and also really seeking sort of the travel or the writing, the teaching, the continuing education, or the spirituality to add more richness to hopefully what is positively transpiring around this time. Hello, Libra risings. This full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees lands in your Virgo 12th house. So this is a very, very strong illumination around your dreams, your subconscious thought patterns, your life vision, more hidden aspects of your chart and thus your life. So I would definitely pay attention to your dreams in March. This is a very strong spotlight in that area. But this could also indicate that there could be a lot on your mind. There could be a lot going on mentally, subconsciously. Now, yes, this is a full moon, a lunar eclipse in the 12th, but it is also involving your Pisces 6th house of daily work, health, and routines. So yes, it's a full moon, but in the chart, a full moon is, the sun and the moon in opposition. So we're really looking at the 12th, 6th house axis and how the 12th house, yes, is getting the eclipse, but it's not, in my opinion, the full story that could be playing out here. This is really illuminating the mind-body axis. What's going on mentally, subconsciously, your life visions, maybe even where you self-sabotage yourselves, and how that plays into your work, your health, and your routines, or what's playing into your work, your health, and your routines that could be weighing on you mentally. It could be playing into subconscious thought patterns, dreams coming up, your need for rest, solitude, and just recharging your batteries could be a very strong theme for Libra risings around this time. A lot's been going on in this axis for some time, and it's only amping up. Particularly the first half of 2025. So a lot of Libra risings, like you might just simply need rest, recharge, time away from the world, to sort out your mental thoughts, your dreams, sort of what's going on deep within you, to sort out the health, the work situation. Going a little bit deeper, Saturn will be conjunct that sun in your Pisces 6th house of daily work, health, and routines. Now, Saturn rules your 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate, as well as your 5th house of creativity, joy, self-expression, romance, and children, if applicable to you. So whatever's going on, shifting, changing, very much culminating around what's going on mentally, its impacts on you, particularly around work and or health, is also sort of tying in maybe family support, relocation, renovation, time to sort of time with your children, if applicable to you. Maybe this has to do with creative pursuits, or sort of carving out more time and routines for what brings you joy. And that might involve more time with family, more time with your children, or just more time for romance, creative pursuits, and self-expression. So it definitely looks like there's a lot going on this 12th and 6th house axis, but it's somehow playing a part with, maybe some of you are getting family support, or maybe some of you are looking at your living situation, the foundation of your life. How does it support your work? How does it support your health? And ultimately support your mental health, your time for rest and recharge, carving out time in your routine to spend more time with your children, or spend more time doing fun, more pleasurable things in your life. That also will help your health as well. Mercury goes retrograde the day after the eclipse goes exact. This is interesting because Mercury rules the eclipse that's taking place in your Virgo 12th house of that subconscious mental thought pattern, dream portion of your chart. So Mercury going retrograde the day after the eclipse goes exact in your Aries 7th house of personal and professional partnerships, including marriage, could indicate sort of reviewing and revising, your mental thought patterns, your growth, your potential, and how that plays a part in personal and professional partnerships around this time. That might be playing into, your work and health routines as well. Personal and professional partnerships, or the people that we can sort of turn to, work with personally or professionally, are going to help us, achieve the work, the life vision, and ultimately help support our routines to accomplish other things in our life. Like, relationships are support. So you could be looking at the area of personal and professional partnerships and sort of how, the support that you need, the support that has been there. And maybe with Mercury ruling that 12th house of, the subconscious thought patterns, you could be turning back to supportive partnerships, personal or professional, that might be helping you mentally or helping you sort of untangle where you're sabotaging yourself or limiting yourself, if that's applicable to you. Venus will also be retrograde around the time of the eclipse in that Aries 7th house of personal and professional partnerships, including marriage. So Venus is your ruling planet. It rules your physical body. It also rules your Taurus 8th house of transformational work and other people's resources. So you could be looking at, again, personal and professional partnerships that are helping maybe your health, your work, so that you can support your physical body. Or you could be sort of looking at your closest partnerships, whether it's personal or professional, that's also helping you long-term financially, or maybe they're providing resources that are helping support you through any shift, change, what's going on at this current moment. Venus being retrograde, ruling the area of Taurus in your chart, which is transformational work, other people's resources, including finances or a partner's resources, is interesting because the full moon lunar eclipse, that is really, it's culminating in the 12th house of, subconscious thought patterns, your dreams, sort of the more hidden realms. That full moon lunar eclipse will start to apply to a trine briefly with Uranus in your Taurus 8th house. So whatever transpires and shifts around this time, it could ultimately lead up to this major illumination around dreams, subconscious thought patterns that, yes, could be playing into work or health and vice versa. But hopefully, with what shifts, changes, and culminates around this full moon eclipse, it will hopefully sort of dissolve the obstacles that are in place to radically innovate and change your resources, your investments, how you create mutual empowerment in your lives. Hello, Scorpio risings. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees lands in your Virgo 11th house of friends, groups, communities, really the place of dreams, aspirations, long-term goals, your social network. So this is really putting a spotlight. It's really culminating. It's really illuminating who you surround yourselves with, your long-term goals, how they support each other. But because this is a full moon, the sun and the moon in the chart are in opposition. So we also, in my opinion, need to consider your Pisces 5th house of joy, children, if applicable, as well as creativity, self-expression, and romance. So this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo could really play a part in sort of how you are enjoying yourselves, spending more time with children, romantic situations coming up or playing out, as well as your creative pursuits, your self-expression, and how that plays a part in sort of who you surround yourselves with, or who is supporting those very things, as well as aligning to the long-term goals. Now, the good news, I think, with this is that the 11th and 5th house, generally speaking, tend to be more fun houses. The 11th house being the clubhouse and the 5th house being the game room. Sort of the 11th house is, the bigger picture, the dreams, the aspirations, all the people you surround yourselves with in your social network, versus, the 5th house is sort of like where you more intimately share that joy with, or who you intimately share that joy and fun with. But breaking this down a little bit more, with whatever is shifting and changing around goals, dreams, social network, maybe situations playing out with children, romance, creative projects, self-expression, Saturn will be conjunct the sun in that Pisces fifth house of joy, creativity, children, self-expression, romance. But Saturn rules your Capricorn third house of communication, exchanging information, short distance travel, really your more familiar environment, as well as your Aquarius fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So this tells me that relationships with family, what's going on in your day-to-day environment, conversations, communication, property, real estate might be playing a part or could be playing a part in sort of some shifts or changes around children, goals, social network, creativity, self-expression. So this looks very interesting because it's sort of looking like a very it kind of looks busy. If I'm being honest, it looks like a very busy time. So, whether if you're a parent, it just looks like there could be a lot playing out with the topic of children or the desire for children, as well as sort of like what's going on in your familiar environment, what's going on with family members that could be playing a part in the situation playing out. This could be a romantic situation that could be sort of playing out with the family, siblings, extended family. Or this could just be trying to integrate your social life, your long-term goals, your dreams and aspirations with family life and family demands and responsibilities. Mercury goes retrograde the day after the eclipse goes exact. So eclipse is on March 14th, although you could feel it 2 weeks in advance. And Mercury goes retrograde on March 15th. This is important because Mercury rules this eclipse. Mercury rules the area of Virgo where the eclipse is taking place. So Mercury stationing retrograde in your Aries sixth house of daily work, health, and routines could indicate that whatever shifts and changes are taking place, it could be having you really review your daily work, your health, and your routines. Maybe you're reviewing and revising your routines in order to support the shift and change that's happening. Maybe you're reviewing and revising your vitality, your health, or your work to support the shift and change necessary. Venus is also retrograde at this juncture in your Aries sixth house of daily work, health, and routines. So this is amplifying additional themes of work, health, and routines. But in regards to this eclipse, this could also indicate that with Venus being retrograde in this area, ruling your Taurus seventh house of personal and professional partnerships, as well as your Libra 12th house of the subconscious, the dreams, the visions, could indicate that whatever's transpiring, you could be sort of shifting your perspective on personal and professional partnerships. Or some of you could be seeking your closest partnerships in your life for the support. Could be, the support for the change, to support the change that's happening or desired around this time, particularly around a dream, a goal, social network, children, joy, romance, creative pursuits. That could have you maybe looking at your home environment, your familiar environment, trying to carve out more time in your routines, with your work, your health, etc. So like I said, when you start to really break the details down of this actual day, it just looks it looks like the opportunity for a lot of moving parts for Scorpio rising in day-to-day life. So if we break this down even more, like what is the potential outcome, right? Because it's like, with all this predictive work of like, okay, what's going on with dreams? What's going on with social network? Carving out more time in your routine for maybe, those things, or carving out more time for, or seeking support from home, partners, people in your immediate environment in order to support that change and create, maybe some mental relief with the 12th house tie. But what are some potential outcomes? Again, eclipses are very unpredictable. But with Venus being retrograde and Venus ruling the area that Uranus is in, forming a trine to this eclipse, is sort of this like to me, this very sneaky thing in the background that could be a really important detail. So this full moon lunar eclipse takes place and starts to apply to form a trine to Uranus in your Taurus 7th house of personal and professional partnerships. So trines, generally speaking, they tend to not have obstacles, or they tend to dissolve obstacles, which is why trines tend to just kind of allow things to develop and flow, for better or worse, generally speaking. But I think with whatever shifts and changes occur and all the things that I just mentioned, it looks like there could be an opportunity or a brief opportunity to create more development and flow to your social network, your dreams, your long-term goals, which could consequently radically innovate and change the area of personal and professional partnerships. So whatever transpires, I think there could be a brief opportunity to radically innovate the area of personal and professional partnerships that could really help you dissolve or clear the obstacles in sort of going after those goals, the dreams, the social network type of thing. Additionally, I would look for indicators, whatever shifting and changing, whether it's good, challenging, again, eclipse is unpredictable, a potential area of outcome that could sort of open up, in addition to the innovation, to close partnerships and maybe the ability to go after or change the goals in the social network. I think ultimately it could really I would look for opportunities that are going to create positive outcomes to your growth and potential. So anything involving travel, spirituality, higher knowledge, continuing education, publishing, teaching, those kinds of things. So all in all, I think this could be a wonderful opportunity to maybe see who's supporting you, what necessary changes to the foundation of your life could you maybe tweak, change to set yourselves up for success around work, health, long-term goals that ultimately could sort of, those close partnerships, whether they're professional, personal, your closest people in your life that really fully love and support you, could maybe come into the picture to sort of help you dissolve any obstacles to go after the goals or expanding your social network that ultimately, hopefully, could create a positive outcome to increasing more growth and potential in your lives. Hello, Sagittarius risings. I just want to warn you, the roofers and the construction workers decided to show up today. So if you hear any banging in the background, I will do my best to sort of edit that out in the software. But look, the planets don't stop, so we must go on. Anyways, this full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees is going to land in your Virgo 10th house of career, business, public recognition. So this is a massive illumination, culmination, something culminating around career. This also has the potential to put you in the spotlight. So you could somehow, maybe a project is coming to a close. Maybe your status is becoming more prominent or important, whatever it may be in your role, your social status, your public recognition, and obviously career and business. But with eclipses, especially full moon eclipses, we have to take into account the opposing house. Because if we're looking at a full moon in the chart, the moon and the sun are in opposition. So in my opinion, although this is an eclipse in your 10th house of career, which can definitely amplify career themes, it's also important to take into account your 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate, and those themes heavily being on the table. So this could be a huge culmination around maybe something's going on with career, something's playing out and you're trying to balance that with, home, family. This could also play a part in maybe there's a relocation, a renovation, anything to do with relationships with family or people you live with that is really coming to light. Now, because these are angular houses in your chart, this full moon lunar eclipse also has the potential to create, it's forming squares, square configurations to your 1st house of self and your 7th house of personal and professional partnership, including marriage. So whatever's going on with career or home, family, property, real estate themes, or both for some of you, it could create change and action to sort of maybe your identity, how you want to show up in the world, or it could create change and action within your personal and professional partnerships. So all in all, this full moon lunar eclipse definitely has the potential to create a lot of external changes for many of you. Now, breaking it down even more, Saturn will be conjunct the sun in your Pisces 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So Saturn is somehow playing a part in this story. And Saturn rules your money, your self-worth, and also sort of your communication, your familiar environment, your neighborhood, people within your day-to-day familiar environment, like your siblings, extended family, neighbors, etc. So this tells me that maybe there is a career, home, or family situation, or those themes kind of playing out. But this tells me whatever's shifting, changing, culminating, and really coming to light around this time, it's involving your finances. And also your sort of your familiar environment. So some of you might be seeing changes to home, property, real estate, and it might be sort of coming to light in a way of maybe it's changing your commute, maybe it's changing your familiar background or environment. And, maybe there's renovations, relocations, and it's involving sort of, your income. Those are sort of the more obvious connections and themes, but you definitely want to pay attention to home and family and or career. and whatever's playing out with those themes, how it's impacting your finances, your commute, your daily environment, communication, people within your neighborhood, etc. Going a little bit deeper, Mercury goes retrograde the day after the eclipse goes exact. So eclipse is on March 14th. Mercury goes retrograde the 15th. Why is this important? Mercury rules this eclipse. It rules your 10th house of career and public recognition, where this full moon lunar eclipse is taking place. It also rules your Gemini 7th house of personal and professional partnerships. So whatever's shifting, culminating, changing, that very well might have to do with career and or home family themes. It could heavily involve this revisionary period around something within partnership, something within career. Maybe, with the shift and the change, it's sort of putting you into a revisionary period around, okay, how do I, what do we need to work on within this partnership? What do I need to change or revise within my career in order to accommodate the shift, the change, etc.? Additionally, Venus will be retrograde around the time of the eclipse, and it will be retrograde in your Aries 5th house. In addition to Mercury going retrograde. So basically, Mercury and Venus will be retrograde. Both of them will be retrograde the day after the eclipse. Venus will already be retrograde at the time of the eclipse. But anyways, both of these planets being retrograde in your 5th house tells me that there could be whatever you're reviewing and revising in terms of career or partnership with whatever's changing within career and or home and family themes. This, because the Venus and Mercury are retrograde in your 5th house, I think it's really, really important to pause, review, revise what situation is going to bring you the most joy. What situation is going to open up your life for more joy, more play, more creativity, more self-expression, and if children is applicable to you, sort of, maybe some of you want to spend more time with your children. Maybe you want to make more time to, expand your family, especially with the eclipse sort of, creating this opposition between your 4th house of home and family and your 10th house of career. So for some of you, there might be a shift and a change where you're like, I really want to step into this shift and change. Look at the finances. Look at extended family, support from siblings, and how can we sort of accommodate expanding our family or spending more time with our children. If children are not on the table for you or even applicable to you, I think this could be a wonderful time to sort of review and revise things within the partnership or the partnership you desire, and what situation or shift or change is going to allow more joy, more creativity, more romance into your lives. And some of you, it might be a change within the home or a relocation or shifts around career that, maybe allow you to make more money or up level in some way so that you can step more into your creative pursuits, your self-expression, having more fun with, your closest loved ones. Now, lastly, what's particularly interesting that I think is going to be overlooked about this eclipse is that the eclipse will be at 23 degrees, coming to a full culmination in your 10th house of career, and it will actually be applying to a trine to Uranus in your Taurus 6th house of daily work, health, and routines. Now, trines are very interesting because trines tend to remove or dissolve any obstacles that are in the way. So yes, this is an eclipse. There's a lot of unpredictability around it, but I'm trying to look for the details in this that could provide some predictive outcome. I'm looking for what is the outcome. And I think this might play into the outcome of what is transpiring with this eclipse. Now, it is the moon, so it will be brief. The moon moves very quickly. But because the eclipse will technically be applying, which in my opinion is a strengthening sort of movement or aspect, it will be applying to Uranus in your Taurus 6th house. So whatever's culminating, shifting, maybe around career, home and family, those within those themes, the trine to Uranus in your 6th house tells me that there could be an opportunity to sort of dissolve or remove any obstacles to innovate, change, and up level your daily health, your work, and your routines. So I would say whatever is shifting, changing, culminating around this time, whether it's really, really good, whether it's, challenging, I would say look for the outcome or the path that is going to provide you, the dissolution of any obstacles around up leveling and innovating your routines, your health, and your work. So whatever shifting and changing, look for, how can you create better, more valuable routines, more vitality in your life, a better work schedule that might involve, up leveling your finances, up leveling your familiar environment, maybe your commute. And most importantly, what is going to balance the vitality of not just your health, but also your work so that you can create more open and expansiveness within your routines to, tap into that 5th house that you're reviewing and revising most likely around this time to sort of integrate more joy, creative pursuits, and self-expression. Hello, Capricorn risings. I just want to warn you, the roofers and construction workers showed up today. So I will do my best to edit the banging and muffling around up there, but don't want to alarm you if you do hear some crazy noises in the background. Anyways, the astrology must go on. So this full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees lands in your Virgo 9th house. Now, I'm a broken record when I say this if you're not new here. I think of the 9th house as the things that we do to create growth and potential. However, if you have your midheaven in your Virgo 9th house using whole sign house system, okay, this could heavily have career and public recognition written all over it. So yes, growth and potential, the things that we seek for growth and potential, like higher knowledge, spirituality, travel, publishing, teaching. But again, this could have career and public recognition for some of you, depending on your specific angles in your natal chart. So yes, this is a culmination. Something could be closing out around, writing, teaching, some of you career. This could be a trip, travel, spirituality. Something is illuminating around those growth and potential or career opportunities for some of you. But because this is a full moon lunar eclipse, when you're looking at the chart, the full moon is the sun and the moon in opposition. So although this is happening in your 9th house, don't get too hung up on just those 9th house themes. You also want to consider 3rd house themes, which is the opposing house. So this is more of your communication, exchanging information, short distance travel, people in your neighborhood, people that your familiar environment. Okay. So siblings, extended family, or people within your familiar environment, your daily commute, those kinds of things. So the third house is a lot of like mundane tasks, paperwork, appointments. It's your everyday, daily environment, so to speak. In addition to communication. So if you work in communication fields like podcasts, marketing, public relations, those kinds of things where you're exchanging information, you're going to social events in your neighborhood, those kinds of things, definitely want to pay attention to those areas as well if that's a common occurrence in your life right now. So these are travel houses. These are knowledge and informative sort of houses. So, this full moon lunar eclipse could really be culminating a decision to learn something, a decision to travel, attend a social event, um, expanding your communication, anything to do with your phone, your laptop, your car, anything in your daily environment, relationships with people in your daily environment. A lot of times, I'm not going to lie, when I see eclipses involving the ninth and the third house, it's busy. It just is a very busy time. So the person that I'm thinking about off the top of my head in my personal life who's just coming off eclipses in this area, it was like they built a house, they moved, they changed, they started new businesses, they traveled a lot throughout, that year or two. So there was just a lot going on, a lot of growth, a lot of potential, a lot of shifting and changing. So there's a lot on the table with these houses, I'm not going to lie. But if we break it down a little bit more, we have Saturn conjunct the sun in your Pisces third house. Now, Saturn is your ruling planet. It rules your physical body, your appearance. It rules your first house of self. It also rules your second house of earned income and self worth. So, this is where, I have to say, okay, what's going on with finances? What's going on with, your individual needs, your identity, your appearance, any of those themes? That's also involving some sort of travel or increased knowledge or communication, exchanging information, any of those themes. So maybe some of you are investing in your education, or you're investing in travel, or investing in some sort of social event, expanding, that area. Now, again, if you have your midheaven, I see in the Virgo Pisces axis, this could heavily involve sort of investing in your career, your business, your social recognition, or could involve, expanding your growth, your knowledge, travel to invest in your physical body, invest in taking care of yourself and your needs. This could also involve a home, family, property, and real estate for some of you, again, if your IC is in that Pisces third house. So again, there's so much on the table. There's so much potential with the ninth and the third and the connections going on here. So I would say for some of you, career, some of you, maybe it's a financial situation with career or home and family and location, or investing in sort of the travel, taking care of yourself, pouring and, not forgetting to invest in yourself as Capricorn risings. Now, Mercury will be going retrograde in your Aries fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So even if your IC isn't in Pisces, this could signal maybe there's a relocation, a renovation. Maybe some of you are thinking about sort of the foundation of your life. How does it support you? How is it supporting your physical body, your growth, your potential that you want to sort of expand into in 2025? Now, Mercury rules this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. So with it going retrograde, it's sort of signaling to me that maybe there's a culmination, a shift around your, a growth and potential plan, your career, something going on with home and family that could be involving sort of how is it supporting you? How is it, what is it bringing up financially? That with Mercury going retrograde and ruling this eclipse, it's sort of like now it's shifting you into this revisionary period involving home, family, people you live with, those kinds of themes playing out. Now, Mercury also rules your Gemini sixth house. So Some of you might be thinking about your health, your work, and your routines, and sort of how is your living situation supporting your health, supporting your work and your routines, or vice versa. Additionally, Venus will be retrograde in your Aries 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. So this is another indicator or detail for me that for a lot of you, this could sort of be all coming, like boiling down into, your living situation, relationships with family, property, real estate, renovations, relocations, those kinds of things. Now, Venus rules your Taurus 5th house of joy and your 10th house of career, business, and public recognition. So this is another indicator that maybe some of you are looking at a career, business, public recognition. How is your home supporting those things in your life? How is it supporting children, if that's applicable to you? How is it supporting your ability to be, expand more into your creative projects, your self-expression? So on a more mundane level, I think that this could be some sort of shift, decision, change that could come up that is pushing a lot of you Capricorn risings into a state of, how do I set myself up for success foundationally to, go into this phase of reviewing and revising? Like, how is it really supporting my career, my public recognition, my health, my ability to enjoy life? So definitely look for, yes, this is an eclipse, but Venus being retrograde and Mercury ruling the eclipse, going retrograde the following day on March 15th, sort of indicates whatever's going on, there could be a heavy dose of reviewing and revising what is really going to be the best course of action. Now, additionally, I think this is something that's going to be overlooked by many, that could play into a potential outcome, is this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo at 23 degrees. When it goes exact, it's going to be applying, which in my opinion, the applying aspects tend to be the stronger, more felt aspect. But when this full moon goes exact, it's going to be applying to a trine to Uranus in your Taurus 5th house of joy, creativity, self-expression, and children, if applicable to you. So there could be some shift and change that, again, trines sort of help dissolve any obstacles in the way. So what I like about this is that whatever's culminating, shifting, changing, particularly around the 9th house themes of growth and potential, or career, business, public recognition, as well as home, family, property, real estate, familiar, daily environment, it could help remove the obstacles that could innovate and change your approach to joy, to your creative pursuits, your self-expression, romance. So I think whatever it may be, if it's career, if it's growth and potential, if it's travel, knowledge, home, property, family, real estate, and so much on the table for Capricorn risings. If you really start to break this down, I would say look for the path that is going to provide you the innovation and the change to really allow you, whatever it is, career or growth and potential or home and family wise, what situation or path is going to allow you to briefly take advantage of that innovation and change towards the creativity, the self-expression, and the joy you really want to start to integrate into your lives. Hello, Aquarius risings. Just want to warn you, the construction workers and roofers showed up today, so I will do my best to edit the banging and all the other noises in the background in the editing software. But if you hear stuff, don't be alarmed. the astrology must go on. The planets don't stop. So, this full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees in Virgo is a massive culmination, illumination, completion in your Virgo 8th house of transformation and other people's resources. So the 8th house can be a complicated house. So it can, just to kind of give you details, themes to look out for would be any transformational work, other people's resources, including a partner's resources, investments, assets. I would even put sort of like, anything where you merge or have mutual empowerment with resources in this area, as well as fears, which could be a part of the transformational work some of you are, working with or, dealing with in your daily lives. But the important part about especially full moon lunar eclipses is, yes, it is a heavy, massive, illumination in this 8th house and those themes that I just sort of briefly listed. But if you look at the chart, full moons are the sun and the moon in opposition in the chart. So it's very important to take into account your 2nd house of earned income and self-worth. But the 2nd house is what's yours. I like to think of the 2nd house as what's innately yours, what you take ownership over. So your innate gifts, talents, material possessions, those kinds of things. So when we're looking at the 2nd and the 8th house, I think, it's important to look at your innate gifts, your talents. Maybe it is a financial situation that's playing out right now and figuring out sort of the balance between that. But there could be a culmination, a shift, a change within these themes to look out for. Now, to break it down a little bit more, Saturn will be technically conjunct the sun in your Pisces 2nd house of earned income. Again, your innate gifts, talents is sort of like, what's innately yours, as well as your self-worth. Now, Saturn is your ruling planet. It rules your physical body, your identity, how you show up in the world, as well as your Capricorn 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, life vision, more of those things that you keep to yourself in solitude while you dream, rest, or recharge. So there could be sort of something culminating, shifting, or playing out with transformational work, resources, material possessions, even self-worth, that has you also take into account, your physical body, your own needs, physically, but also mentally. Where are you resting, recharging, really anchoring yourselves into the life vision? Even some of you who are, the 12th house is where meditation would be placed. So sort of tapping into your mental and physical needs as there is some sort of shift around transformational work, self-worth, and or finances / resources. What's interesting about this eclipse is that the eclipse is exact on March 14th. The ruler of the eclipse, Mercury, goes retrograde the next day. And it will go retrograde in your Aries 3rd house of communication, exchanging information. The 3rd house is like your familiar environment, your backyard, essentially. So with Mercury ruling this eclipse and also ruling your 5th house of joy, children if applicable, creativity, self-expression, there could be something also playing out where maybe some of you are really, I would say, where despite what's happening with resources, finances, transformational work, self-worth, how can you really review and revise what's needed to fully anchor yourselves into taking care of your needs mentally, physically, but also whatever is transpiring, anchoring yourselves into joy, creativity, self-expression. So whether it's positive, whether it's challenging, with whatever is transpiring, right? We're all in life with, good, the bad, the ugly. We should never feel like we have to sacrifice ourselves mentally, physically, despite whatever's happening. So I would say whatever's going on, where can you rest? Where can you recharge? Take care of your physical body. Still try to find time with your children if that's applicable. Find time for romance, creativity, self-expression. That could be playing a part in, especially with the second and the eighth house being really illuminated around this time. There could be a shift around abundance mindset, material possession mindset, transformational work mindset, especially with the 12th and first house connection with Saturn. Saturn going through your second is nothing new. I think it's been a strengthening factor for some of you. There could be definitely an element of, a lot of people think, oh, Saturn going through the second house, I'm going to be poor, I'm going to lose money. But actually, some of the wealthiest people have Saturn in the second house. And it's a strengthening factor. It's where can I think, how can I work smarter, not harder? Where can I think long term about my money instead of just where I'm at right now? So whatever the situation is, how can you work smarter, not harder? How can you invest in your mental and physical health? And most importantly, your joy, your creativity, and how do those things seem to help you maybe expand your finances, expand, your physical, mental, emotional abundance. Now, what's interesting about the lunar eclipse in your Virgo 8th house is, I think the 8th house, we say transformation, 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 but what does transformation really mean? And I think with this eclipse in this 8th house, there could be sort of this strong culminating moment where there's an ending, where you don't return to an old system, or you no longer return to an old fear. And I think this could be a more prominent theme with a lot of Aquarius risings, especially with the 12th house of the subconscious thought patterns, tying into, with Saturn's rulership in that second house of innate gifts and talents and self-worth. So whatever's going on, whether you feel like it's positive or it's quite challenging, the full moon happening in the 8th house, the full moon eclipse happening in the 8th house could be sort of a time where you're like, okay, no, I'm not going to return to this old way of thinking, or these old beliefs, or these, these limiting patterns or self-sabotage patterns that are really just a system of fear. And so I would say, if this is something that you're working through, or this is sort of like a reoccurring theme right now, I would sort of sit with this before the eclipse happens. What do you really want to clear out in terms of fear, old systems, beliefs that you want to transform, right? When we transform something, it's no longer the same. You can't undo it. You can't look back. So this could be an incredible time to sort of transform, to release, to end, where you don't return to an old system that is not serving you mentally, that's not serving you physically, it's not helping you financially, it's not, it's preventing you from stepping into your creativity, your heart's desire, romance, joy. Now, Venus will also be retrograde in your Aries third house of communication. Again, that familiar environment, your own backyard. So your car, your phone, your laptop, short distance travel, siblings, extended family, all the things that are sort of mundane, familiar. It's your backyard, basically. Now, Venus does rule your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate, as well as your Libra ninth house of growth and potential. Anything you really seek for that growth and potential. So travel, spirituality, higher knowledge, teaching, publishing, any of those things. In addition to, for some of you, it could be a career or public recognition theme coming up if your midheaven is in Libra. So this tells me that maybe you're sort of reviewing and revising your familiar environment, how you organize your familiar environment, and how that maybe has been a physical manifestation of sort of the old patterns, the old fears, right? A lot of times we have that mind body or, your body environment disconnect. What's going on mentally inside can definitely translate to how we operate in our daily environment. So some of you might be sort of reviewing and revising a home situation, a living situation. How can you maybe change things up or review and revise it to create more love, create more value, create more of a sacred space that's going to allow you to create more expansion in your life, to, create mutual empowerment, resources, step into your gifts and talents. What space do you need that is going to mentally and physically support you at this juncture? Another potential aspect that's going on that could indicate a potential outcome is when the full moon lunar eclipse takes place by degree on March 14th, it will be in an applying trine to Uranus in your Taurus fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate. So something could be culminating around resources, a partner's resources, investments, assets, transformational work, where there could be an opportunity or an influence that sort of dissolves the obstacles in the way to sort of innovate and change a home, family, property, real estate situation. This could be as minor as a redecoration, a renovation, or it could be as major as, an investment property or, real estate. It could be relationships with people you live with, relationships with family, where maybe there is something that, there could be a dissolution of obstacles or a natural flow of development around, whatever is culminating, releasing, or closing out around transformational work. Again, those, no longer returning to an old system of fears. Or there could be something highlighted and illuminated around resources, investments, a partner's resources that could provide some sort of natural flow and ease to creating a more sacred space. And most importantly, that foundation of your chart and life that is going to support and set you up for success. Hello, Pisces risings. I will warn you, the construction workers and the roofers showed up today, so there is a lot of noise going on in the background. I will do my best to edit it out in the software, but if you hear it, don't be alarmed. I apologize, but the astrology doesn't stop. It must go on. So this full moon lunar eclipse at 23 degrees in your Virgo 7th house of personal and professional partnerships, including marriage. Now, I will say the 7th house is also, this is where like court cases would land. And with it being an eclipse, if there is a sort of like court case or divorce or any like legality within personal or professional partnerships playing out, that is a theme in your personal life right now. This eclipse could definitely play a part in this unfolding. Now, if that's not applicable to you, don't worry about it. All in all, definitely look to personal and professional partnerships, your closest partnerships in your life, because this is a very strong illumination, excuse me, taking place in the 7th house. But we also have to consider the 1st house of self, because the full moon eclipse, this is the moon and the sun in direct opposition to each other. And so it's important to also take into consideration your Pisces 1st house of self, body, appearance, identity. But the 1st house is also can include independently taking action. So there could be a lot of independent action towards, taking care of yourself, focusing on your needs versus the needs of others, or something playing out within partnership and you having to sort of take action to deal with the situation. Whatever it may be, this is a very strong illumination across the 1st house of self versus the 7th house of the other. Now, with that being said, these are angular houses. So because it's angular, you also have to take into account the 10th house of career and public recognition, as well as the 4th house of home and family. So whatever is being illuminated around you taking action involving a situation or something playing out within personal and professional partnerships, it could create the change and the action around a career situation or home and family situation. Now, breaking it down a little bit more, Saturn will be conjunct the sun in your Pisces 1st house of self. Now, Saturn rules your 11th house of social network and long-term goals, as well as your 12th house of subconscious thought patterns, dreams, meditation, rest, recharge. More of the hidden house, the things that we don't necessarily advertise with the world. So with Saturn sort of playing a part in this eclipse, being technically conjunct the sun here in your 1st house of self, what could be or what is sort of shifting and changing around you, partnership, career, home and family, that now might have you looking at, okay, well, what about my social network? What about rest, recharge? What's going on mentally? What is going on with life vision? What is going on with long-term goals? Where so much at this juncture has probably already played out quite a bit for many of you around, changes or decisions involving home, family relationships, property, real estate, career, partnership, just, there's a lot going on for Pisces risings, generally speaking. Now, what's interesting about this eclipse is that the ruler of this eclipse, Mercury, will be going retrograde the next day after the eclipse happens by degree. So eclipse happens March 14th. The ruler of the eclipse, Mercury, goes retrograde March 15th in your Aries 2nd house of earned income and self-worth. So Mercury rules that 4th house of home and family, as well as your 7th house of personal and professional partnerships. So whatever's shifting and changing, this tells me that whatever is happening, it could be putting you into a revisionary period around, who you surround yourselves with, something playing out within a personal or professional partnership, something playing out with home, family relationships, property, or real estate, that's having you sort of review and revise your income, your resources, your self-worth in that situation. Additionally, Venus will be retrograde in that Aries second house of earned income and self-worth. Now, Venus rules that third house of familiar environment, communication, exchanging information. For some of you, if your IC is here, this would involve home, family as well. But Venus also rules that eighth house of other people's resources and transformational work. So some of you might be looking at investments, other people's resources, partners' resources, and or transformational work, and how that's playing into your own individual resources, income, material possessions, and or self-worth. So it looks like there's a lot going on in the more visible areas of life. Like I said, career, personal, professional partnerships, home, family, property, real estate, where any or all of these themes are sort of potentially putting a lot of Pisces risings into a position of, okay, how can I sort of revise my budget, revise my self-worth, revise my gifts and talents given the situation, and how is that going to create more value and a plan of action around maybe finances and how that's playing into something within partnership or career or a home family situation. You could also be sort of reviewing and revising your daily environment. How is your home, family, daily environment? Maybe it's your commute. Maybe it's sort of just your neighborhood, things going on in your immediate environment. How is that sort of impacting you? What changes need to be made? Could be on the table as well. What's interesting about the eclipse is that what I think it's going to be overlooked, in my opinion, because the moon moves very quickly. But because this is an eclipse, when the eclipse starts to go exact by degree on March 14th, it will actually start to apply to a trine with Uranus in your Taurus third house of communication, exchanging information. Again, everything within your familiar environment, your neighbors, your siblings, your extended family, your car, your phone, your laptop, etc. So this tells me that a potential outcome to look for is maybe there is a culminating sort of closing out of something within a partnership, personal or professional, something sort of coming to a close. Again, if the court case or some sort of legality situation is playing out and that's applicable to you, this could be sort of a culminating moment around it. Hopefully, a closing of that chapter. That, again, a trine configuration is where typically the obstacles are not there or they're dissolved. And because this full moon is sort of culminating something around personal and professional partnerships, that could have you weighing your own individual needs, what is going to support you, as well as the changes to career and or home and family, is now sort of culminating this area to hopefully dissolve any obstacles in the way that could help innovate and change your communication, your familiar environment, your daily, everyday lives.